Hey, I'm Rex Ridenoure. I'm a co-founder and been leading this company called Ecliptic Enterprises Corporation for the last 10 years, which is a NewSpace company. Most people think of it as a NewSpace company. We operate very commercially, and it's a space technology company. And we are the world's leading supplier of onboard video for rockets and spacecraft. So most of the video you see, like on the shuttle, as it ascends to orbit, that aft-looking view, that's our equipment on there. Most of the other rockets in the country that you see video like that, except for SpaceX. They have their own, of course. That's their philosophy, but we do almost all the rest of them you see. And then more recently, we've been getting on this same equipment on spacecraft, doing video onboard unmanned spacecraft. So probably the most visible one is the mission that went to the moon a couple of years ago and impacted the south pole of the moon and uplifted all that debris from the crater. We controlled all the sensors on that spacecraft. It was called L-Cross, operated here out of NASA Ames.
Now the Lunar Science Institute right next door, huh?
Yeah. And so our avionics were controlling the sensors, and one of those sensors was our video camera, but the rest were all sort of scientific sensors. We did all of Spaceship One video back in 2004 when they won the X Prize. We've got some systems on Spaceship 2 and White Knight 2 under testing right now, and we're going to be on some of the future vehicles launching in the next 6 or 8 months, like Taurus 2 and the Cygnus cargo vehicle going to space station. We should be on the new capsules from Boeing and Lockheed Martin and other vehicles like that.
So the multi-purpose crew vehicle, the MPCV.
Yeah, we believe we'll be on their test program because we're quoting that right now, and I think we're written into that. So we're, as of the last shuttle launch, final launch a couple weeks ago, that was our 97th launch that we've been on.
97th launch, not shuttle launch, but total.
Total, yeah.
Total launch.
And I'm happy to say no failures so far that we know of. So
you got
that's important.
Got video back on everything.
Yeah, which is odd because you'd think out of 100 launches or so, one of the rockets would have blown up, but it hasn't happened yet. So, but before that, this company, I've always been in the space business. Always been involved with trying to get involved with real missions that are happening, not just studies. I really like seeing things getting launched and operated. And so, from my first job on, I've always worked on real missions, pretty much. And I've probably, not counting the many dozens of missions we've supported in the company I'm in now with equipment. Before that, I worked on about a dozen different missions that got launched, including Voyager 2 at Neptune. As a student, I was involved with the Mars landings on Viking, undergraduate student internship, and worked on several communications satellites, commercial satellites, and worked on the Hubble Space Telescope for a couple years, right across the water, down this way, I guess, at Lockheed, back in the 80s. So it's been fun. Lots of small secondary payload kind of missions, low cost. But my general interest is I like the commercial model of doing things, which is why this NewSpace arena excites me so much. I like elegant designs you can do cost effectively and simply, and I really like the idea of pushing commercial business practices beyond geosynchronous orbit, which is where it all ends right now. There's nothing that's ever been done beyond geosynchronous orbit commercially.
How did you get interested in space to begin with?
It kind of grew on me. I'm not one of these people, like a lot that you talk to, where they all of a sudden when they were 9 years old they had this aha moment and said, I'm going to be a space guy. For me, I didn't even have it figured out by the time I went to undergraduate school, really. But it was all there, I just didn't know it. But it started with, I remember some of the Gemini launches on TV when I was a boy of like 8 years old or something. We had just gotten our first TV in our family, black and white, and my mom, I remember, would pull us in front of the TV if it was not during school hours and say, hey, look at this, and I remember a couple of Gemini launches, and then I fully remember the Apollo landings, the first one with Neil Armstrong, and then the rest of them, that was the first time I ever stayed up all night, was to watch the Apollo 15 astronauts visit that rill, Hadley Rill. Just couldn't go to sleep and skip that. And most of the projects I did in middle school and high school, science projects, had something to do with aerospace or space. I always liked the idea of flying, and by the time I was in college, I was learning how to fly. And but a college advisor who was trying to figure out if I should declare some sort of engineering or another, because I was just a general engineering major when I was a freshman, tried to help me figure out if I should declare a specialty, and he's the one that figured out I should probably be in aerospace based on all these loose ends that I didn't really put together. And that worked out really well. And then fortunately in college, I sort of had more of an interest in space than the aero part, which is more like aircraft and aeronautics, aerodynamics. Even though I liked flying, I didn't like most of the rest of that stuff, and I really was intrigued by space. And fortuitously, the department head that just came into our department from industry was a space guy. So he grabbed everybody that looked like they were interested in space and took care of us through the rest of my undergraduate years, and made sure we got to go to some conferences and meet some space people. And once you sort of see a few things in the real world, it's easy to get infected and be bitten. So especially getting the internship when I was a junior in college on Viking, right there when the landers are landing on Mars, and you're seeing those images come back at JPL for the first time. If there was any doubt, then that sort of solidified it for me.